Welcome back. How to develop communication skills as a leader. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to be a stellar leader that people want to follow and move out of manager role. So stay tuned. So first I'm going to talk about the most important skill that people are never taught. Then I'm going to give you a simple trick to make you a better communicator for the rest of your life. Then I'm going to show you the number one thing that will make all the difference in your leadership. Plus, why you haven't been as effective as you can be, and what you can do instantly to improve your communication skills with your team, with your clients, even with your family. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to deliver feedback that's positively received, even if it was crunchy. So I would say in business, communication is the number one skill. Really, business is about relationships. And what are relationships based on? Communication skills. So if you want a good relationship, if you want a good relationship with your team, if you want a good relationship with your family, even if you want a good relationship with your clients, then having effective communication skills is absolutely key. And I'm just going to make a little aside. I don't know the age of the employees or the team members that you're having, but if you may have noticed that even Gen Zers and millennials, they don't tolerate harsh communication. They want transparency. They want direct, honest communication. So if you have these people who are in those age groups on your team, it's even more important to learn how to communicate effectively. Now, there's two types of communication. There's verbal and then there's nonverbal communication, right? So what most people do is they actually just listen for the words that people are saying, but they're missing all the other cues. So I could say to you, for example, "How was your day?" "Oh yeah, it was great." Now, would you believe me if I said it like that? There's a disconnect between the words that are coming out of my mouth and the emotion that I'm expressing simultaneously. And so one of the keys is to learn to watch for other cues, nonverbal cues, in addition to listen to what's said verbally, because the vast majority of communication is actually nonverbal. And so you could pick up so much more when you start getting in tune to nonverbal cues and what people are actually saying with their bodies, with their emotions, with their expressions. So key. So the key is to ensure that you don't allow people's words to distract you, because people will try to say something with their words, but their expression, their nonverbal communication will be really speaking in volumes what they're trying to say. So to be able to do that, it requires attention. It requires presence. It requires being observant. It requires no distractions, and it requires curiosity. Because if you're not if you're already making assumptions about what you think the person is saying, then you're going to be missing the communication that's really coming through. So all of those things are required so that you could be focused, attentive, observant, and be present in the moment. You're not thinking of what you're going to have to do next. You're not thinking of what just happened. You're with the person you're communicating with in the moment. Those are all really key. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the reasons why people communicate poorly. Oftentimes, people communicate poorly because they want to seem smart. Now, if you're running a company, right, you want to seem like you know what you're doing. Hopefully, you've removed enough ego that you can hire people who are better at what they're doing than you are at doing it. That's the reason for hiring them, so that you're not doing everything yourself. So being able to step back from your ego and hire people who are better at you not only requires, again, removing that ego, but requires not having to be the smartest person in the room, of understanding that people are bringing their brilliance. That's what you hired them for. They're bringing their brilliance, and the more that their brilliance is nurtured, the more that they will perform at higher levels, the more that they will come up with creative ideas, with inspiration, with innovation. They will innovate in your company if they are allowed to stand in their brilliance. And that means you not stepping out to seem like you're the smartest person in the room. And again, curiosity goes a long way. Being curious about other people and their skill set and what they're doing is so key. Now, the other reason why people communicate poorly is a fear of conflict. People are afraid that if they tell people the truth or they tell people what's really going on for them, that it's going to create conflict. Now, if you've spent any time with a bunch of family, typically they're really poor communicators and they're in cycles of ways in which they communicate with each other, right? And so what typically people are doing are telling people what they don't want rather than what they do want. And I'll give you an example. So I was just recently with my mom and she was having problems with her aide. And rather than saying, oh, I'd really like you to do this, she was saying, I don't like when you do that. Now that's really ineffective communication because it makes the other person defensive. And if you do it regularly, it makes them feel like what they're doing is never good enough. And it's so helpful when you focus on what they are doing right and then reinforce that on a regular basis so they want to do more of that. Then another reason is actually failure to develop skills. And this is totally not your fault because communication skills aren't taught in school. And it's amazing that I feel like it's the most important skill that we could learn as human beings interacting with each other, and yet it's not taught in school. So most people do not take communication courses. They don't understand how to communicate effectively. And it can be learned very easily, actually. And so we're going to talk more about that now. So if you want to have a life outside your business and have incredibly profitable business at the same time, then make sure you like and subscribe because I will be delivering tons of valuable tips and strategies on exactly how to do that. Now I'm going to show you ways in which to communicate clearly. So let's go back to the board. Okay, this one is one that I learned when I was already a coach, and it made such a huge difference. You'd be amazed what happens here when you create agreements versus expectations. You hire someone, they have expectations of what they're meant to do in their role in your company, but there's no clear agreement. Now, does it feel good when people have expectations of you? It never feels good to have expectations. So people tend not to want to live up to expectations because it just doesn't feel good. But when you create clear agreements, people are far more likely to actually do what they say they do. And then there's easier communication when they're not actually doing what they say they're going to do because they already agreed to it. The second thing is over-communicate. Now, you might be like, Alaina, why would I over-communicate? You may think you're communicating what you want to say to your team member clearly. They probably haven't gotten it. They're not in your head. They don't understand the backstory. They probably have not gotten exactly what you want. And so by saying it maybe slightly different ways, ensuring they understand is so key, and that's over-communicating that. Right? And then ensure your team knows where they stand with you. I cannot tell you how many people I have worked with, how many clients who have thought that their team members, oh, they know they're messing up. They know they're not doing well. And then they don't know at all. They have absolutely no clue that they're not doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. And I can tell you it's something that I ensure that I do even when it's not going well. And I'll give you a little bit of story around this, which is like I have an amazing marketing assistant, but she wasn't getting my brand. Now she's my marketing assistant, but she wasn't getting the language of my brand. And so because I tune into my intuition and I understand what's going on, I kept getting work with her on various different ways to help her learn the brand. And yet the content that I was seeing just was not on brand. And I wasn't really sure what to do to help her. But she was sure what was going on with her, right? That was super clear that she knew exactly where she stood with me. And she knew that I was going to make this work no matter what, that I was going to figure out how to help her understand how to communicate on brand. Ultimately, I hired somebody else to create a brand guide for me. She read the brand guide and went, boom, light switch went on, and now she's totally on brand. But it was because we were doing these things first. Right? So now how to have tough conversations. Again, in my world, there are no tough conversations. I know most people feel like they're tough conversations because you're afraid how the person's going to react. Is it going to create conflict? What the issue is going to be? Are you going to be not liked as a result of having this tough conversation? But ultimately, when you're direct, right? When you're really honest, but in a compassionate and loving way, which is so key to learn in communication, then people actually appreciate it because you're bringing them along, and that is really key. And then let people know that you value direct, honest communication. That is totally key. Like, people say to me they cannot believe how direct I am. I mean, even a little story of me going into a restaurant, the food was fantastic, but they had the chairs so close together that every time the wait staff walked through, I got knocked during dinner, and it must have happened 40 times during dinner, which for me felt annoying. I wanted to enjoy my dinner in peace, and at the end, I walked up to the manager and I said, dinner was absolutely fantastic. The staff was amazing, but there's a problem with the chairs being too close, and it really disturbs the person who's sitting there dinner. Now, I walked out of that and I was with 3 colleagues having dinner, and they're like, I cannot believe you said that. But the person, the manager, was really appreciative. I communicated directly, and I wasn't saying it like I was pissed off or upset or anything like that. I was just directly communicating a problem sandwiched in between other appreciation. I call it the appreciation sandwich. So you start with an appreciation, you give your direct request, and then you have another appreciation. And then people can hear the tough stuff that you're offering up because it's sandwiched between 2 appreciation. That's my pro tip for you all. So the key to make that happen is that when you're doing it, it must be genuine. You can't be manufacturing it to make it work. And I have seen this work with my clients over and over again. As a matter of fact, one of my clients, Maddie, was having an issue with her team. She had such a high level of excellence, and her team was always feeling like they were criticized when she would give feedback. So I taught her the appreciation sandwich, and I taught her how to communicate with her team effectively. And all of a sudden, they started to up-level their game because they were feeling valued and appreciated by her, in addition to having a higher level of standard in their work. So it wasn't just that she was expecting a higher level of standard, but wasn't giving really appreciation and value to them, and letting them know how much they were needed for the role that they were playing in her business. Everyone needs to take time off in your business, and actually doing so will actually generate more profits for you. So tune into the next video, Why Do I Feel Guilty for Taking Time Off of Work, where I show you how to throw guilt to the curb.